Hey guys, it's Leo with Dreaming Tree, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to put together our Orchid Gatefold card. This is definitely one of the main focal points of our Orchid Events SVG bundle. A very simple card. It's very elegant and definitely suits itself to a number of occasions, specifically weddings, wedding showers, baby showers. This could even be a great sympathy card, or just an everyday sort of card. Actually, even for Mother's Day, I think it'd be a great card. So it does go together fairly quickly. I think the most fun part about this card is the orchid itself. And I'm gonna show you how to ink that and train it and kind of manipulate it to give it that realistic look. So let's go ahead and get started here. It does come with an envelope, which I will show you here in just a minute. But here are the main pieces. This is the main piece, I should say, of the card. And the first thing we want to do is just kind of fold at the score marks here to get that all into position, okay? And as you can see here in our final version, we have done a nice print to cut on this. And again, I will be following up with some videos in the future on how to do your own print and cut. But as far as this card goes, this is the little element that you're going to glue into place. Just center it, and you can write or stamp or do whatever you want on this part. Okay, so that's going to get glued there. And then really all that's left is just these two pieces here. Okay, and those are going to get glued, and they're going to be flush with this part here. Okay, so what I liked to do and what I did to make sure that I got this thing lined up right was I put it in place and I folded this gate over just to make sure that it's sitting correctly. Okay, and what you should be able to, well, what you want to focus on actually is making sure that when you glue this, that you are not seeing any of the green here. Okay, so the green should not be showing up here, but you will see it here. Okay, that's how you know you've got it in the right spot. So, and there's a couple ways you can do this. If you want to use like a spray adhesive, I would recommend taking a sheet of cardstock and covering up the parts that you are not spraying. Okay, because this is kind of a detailed piece. So you could just cover up the white part here and spray adhesive on this part here so that you can more easily put this part down. But actually, for this card, and I actually assembled this card, I just used glue. And I sort of did it in stages because there's a lot of details here that you may not be able to actually cover with glue in the necessary time to actually get it all to set. Okay, so what I did, and again, I'm just making sure that this is nice and flush here. So I actually started at the bottom here, and I just kind of held this down and just lifted this piece up and just began applying glue between all these little nooks and crannies here. And I'll show you here in a second so you can see better. Twist this around a little bit. Just started adding dots and really thin lines in all of these little veiny areas. Okay, and then I would just push it down and hold it in place, making sure that it's nice and lined and flush there. Okay, so just hold that down. And it basically did it in like 2 segments. So once that's dry, you can kind of lift this up. Okay, and maybe it was 3 segments, I don't know, but either way, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And again, I'm just putting little dots on these little veiny areas here and trying to get it out to as many areas as possible. Okay, and then just push that down and let it set. Okay, and just curl up that last part there and apply your glue. And then push that down. Okay. And then you can just fold that over and you see how that looks. That looks great. Okay, so you're going to repeat the same thing on this side here. and you already have that middle piece in there. So the actual card is done. It's very quick. Now, the really beautiful decorative part of this is the actual orchid, and it's on a little band. Okay, so the band itself is very simple. There is a little score mark here. You're going to fold at the score mark, and then there's this little tab here. You're going to fold that tab over, put a little bit of glue on the tab, make sure you get it out to the edge, and just get that glued into place. Okay, so there's our band, and let's take a look at the flower. So the flower's very simple as well, and I kind of showed this process when I did the RSVP card, but this one is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to show it again, and I'm actually enjoying getting better at inking. So the more practice I get, the better I'm going to get, and the more fun I'm going to have down the road here. So I have these inks here. I have this little pad that we got from the craft store, and I don't like to use this directly on there because I feel like it just kind of globs the ink way too much. So what I do is I just dab it, and then I kind of work it on a piece of scrap paper in circles until I move it down and see the shade that I want. Okay, and of course you can control the shade by how much pressure you're applying. Okay, so I'm applying way less pressure here, and that is kind of the shade that I want right there. So I'm just going to start in the center and just kind of make larger circles as I go out. And it's okay if you put more pressure in the center, and then as you work your way out, just do less pressure. Okay, and try to keep it somewhat symmetrical. Somewhat is the key word, because as Ron and I always discuss, nature is very forgiving, and it's not always perfectly symmetrical. There's some variation. Okay, so and it's really up to you how far out you want to go with this. I think right about there is probably good. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other petal here, and as you can see, I'm kind of running out of ink there, so I'm going to dab this again. Okay, that looks good. Just kind of going counterclockwise here. Just like that. Okay, now I do want a little touch of yellow, so I'm going to go ahead and dab some yellow on here. And same thing, just going to make sure that I'm getting the tone that I want. I don't want it to be overpowering. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do like little half circles up at the top, just to kind of blend that. Okay, just very subtle. There we go. And one thing I recommend doing is hopping on Google Images and just doing a search for orchids and check out all the different styles and colors, and have fun with your inks when it comes to these. You don't have to do this specific type of orchid. You could do pretty much anything you want. Okay, so there we go. I think that's pretty nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and show you how to actually form this. Okay, so you want the two petals here. This is the back layer, the two petals at the bottom, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold, we're going to crease this away from us. So this is going to be a mountain fold, and just kind of creasing it a lot and then letting it kind of set back out, just kind of like that. Okay, and these are going to be valley folds or valley creases. Okay, just like that. There we go. Try to get that centered, that crease. Okay, just like that. Okay, and now this part here. Okay, now this one here, I'm going to get a bit of a thicker dowel, Let me see here. Well, I'm just gonna grab this dowel here. And the idea here on this piece, and it goes like this, is you want to take and just kind of curl a little corner here. So it's kind of like that. Okay, so do both sides. And I am getting kind of a lot of ink on my hands here, so you might want to kind of clean off your fingers before you start doing this. And then we're going to curl the bottom as well. Okay, just curling it around my little hibachi skewer. Okay, so you kind of want it to look like that. And then take your finger and put it underneath one of these petals like that. And then with these two fingers, just kind of push down and curve it around your finger. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then once you get it into place, and if you decide you want to kind of work it a little more and accentuate a curve or a bend or whatever, you can totally do that. Okay, but that's kind of what we want it to look like. Just like that. Kind of want that part to stick out. And then we got curves at the top and the bottom. Just like that. Okay, and then what we can go ahead and do is put glue in this little area here. Okay, and set that right in there. Got little score marks there to help you with the alignment. Okay, all right, and then we can go ahead and grab this piece. I did ink this piece with a, this is actually a pumpkin spice color. It kind of contrasts really nicely with this shrimp colored AC cardstock. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of work the ink along the edges, getting a little bit on the surface towards the edge. Okay. I think inking's becoming one of my favorite things to do because it just, it's kind of like painting a little bit. Okay, so that is going to get glued like so. And with this piece here, what you want to do is take your skewer and you want to take this little part here and bend that and wrap it so that it kind of comes in like that. You can do the same thing for this one here. Okay, and then you're going to take this whole thing and kind of wrap it around your finger because this whole thing kind of should be kind of like that. Okay, and then these parts kind of come in even more. Okay, and then this part here, we're going to glue this little yellow piece to our little shrimp colored piece, just like this. Okay, and then we've got this little cap part here. We're going to actually, I want to ink that as well. Just going to put a little bit of ink on the edge of that, just to make it pop a little more. Okay, and then we just put a little dab of glue right there. And just get that glued into place. Then we're going to take this whole thing and glue it like so. So you want to put glue just underneath those little score marks there. And hide those score marks with the piece. Okay. And then finally, you can go ahead and take your skewer and just kind of taking this little piece down here and curling that. Okay, I want to kind of curl it just to give it a little bit of life. So I'm curling the tip, probably taking it around maybe twice around the skewer, and then we'll flare it out a little bit. Just like that. Okay. All right, so once that's done, we just go ahead and position and figure out where you're actually going to put your little flower. Okay, and do your best to get a little bit of glue right in the center and glue it down. Okay, just like that. And then I'm just going to slide that over your card. And you're all set. Okay, so we have our card all assembled here, and what's left is the envelope. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Envelope is actually very simple. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and just fold everything at the score marks. Okay, get everything nice and folded. And we're gonna take this piece and I'm kind of holding this part here at a 90-degree angle so that when I lay this down, it's sitting on the actual envelope itself, and then I'm just kind of nudging from both sides just to make sure that the edges are in the right place. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold it over, and that looks great. So I'm going to leave that in place, and I'm going to put glue on this part here. And one thing I noticed is that it is helpful to get some glue out to the edges there. Okay, so we can just push this down and hold that in place. You can see the final card, the final envelope here. It's very simple. Okay, so you're going to glue that right there, and if you want, you can go ahead and ink this piece and just get that glued here to finish off the flower. Okay, and then to close up the envelope, we're just going to fold it like that. Okay, and just going to go ahead and put glue along the edge here like that and like that. We might have gotten a little bit too much there, and just push and hold that down until it's dry. Okay, so that is how your envelope goes together. Yours is going to have the pretty flower on there. And again, cool thing about this whole bundle, and I just had a little pop dot holding that closed, is you've got the Gatefold card, and that's going to fit in there nicely. Okay, but you can also, and let me just pick these up really quick here. So if you are doing invitations for a wedding with this would be your main envelope. Okay, and you have the little reception card to tell everybody where the reception is, and that fits in there perfectly. And then your little RSVP card, okay, you can put a stamp on there so that once they check whether they're coming or not going, you can pop it in there, and that will also fit inside this one envelope. So you've got everything you need for your event, and that is it.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.